Am I live? Going live? All right, I'm live. So I'm reading a very short passage from Maps to the Other Side, The Adventures of a Bipolar Cartographer. My name is Sasha DeBrule, and I'm doing it without my glasses because it's short. And I'm really just reading this because I have writer's block and I'm trying to get over it. So I'm trying to remind myself of why I care about what I care about. All right. Writing, for me, has always been a pretty desperate attempt at fighting off loneliness. It's never been something that flows easily out of me. My writing has always been a bit of a dangerous gift, something that allows me to communicate with the outside world while simultaneously threatening to keep me shackled to the computer screen, all alone and feeling like a desperate animal. When I was a kid, I watched a lot of TV and I read a lot of comic books, my favorite being the X-Men. It was about a group of mutant teenagers being trained by their mentor, Professor X, to use their superpowers to fight the forces of evil. I always wished that I had superpowers. When I got older, I started reading about shamans and medicine people in indigenous cultures, people born sensitive that had endured transformative, traumatic events that gave them special abilities. In these stories, there was always mentors and guides to train them and set them on their paths as warriors and healers, just like in the comic books. Years later, I started realizing that all the most amazing people in my life, the wildest ones, the ones walking the edges and pushing the social boundaries and making all the connections most folks were too afraid to make, all of them were people who had never really fit in when they were young, had been through their share of rough times, and had somehow figured out on their own ways of blazing through the world. All the people I knew who had been considered mentally ill and mad were like the mutants in the comic books, the misfits who had to carve their own paths or else be eaten by the world around them. The mutant teenagers were me and my friends, but most of us never had mentors and guides to lead us through to the other side and teach us how to be superheroes. We just had each other. Those who were born mutants have it rough. The modern world wasn't meant for the likes of us. Modern institutions and industrial standardization feel cold and heartless because our spirits are so wild. We see the end of the world in flashing billboards and clear-cut forests. We feel the pain of others like it's our own. We can't hold regular jobs or make regular friends. We're told we're sick and we need to be medicated for our entire lives, or else horrible things will happen. There's no place for us in institution except for in institutions or out on the street. We're outcasts and we gravitate towards other outcasts. People like us need community more. If we don't find strong communities, we'll spend our lives feeling out of place with a gnawing sensation that something's missing. If we're lucky, we find others like ourselves and manage to build our lives on the fringes of the mainstream. But even in our rebel communities, we don't know how to take care of each other. No one taught us how to get along with one another. There's so much hidden knowledge that would make life easier, but we have no way to access it. But that's where our dangerous gifts come in. One important lesson I learned over and over is that the people who can help me most when I'm struggling with my madness are the ones who've had the same problems and made it through themselves. Being damaged and traumatized can be a powerful gift if you figure out how to use it to help others come to terms with their own power. I got locked up when I was a teenager because I didn't understand that I was different than most kids around me, that I had to take extra special care of myself to cultivate my powers and stay out of trouble. I wish someone had been there to offer guidance, someone who'd been through it before and understood what I was going through. Our culture's version of guidance is to diagnose people as mentally ill, stick them on antipsychotic meds, and lock them up in the hospital. There's so many kids being locked up and being given drugs because they don't fit into the narrow roles that the system lays out for them. And there's only so much time before the whole way our culture thinks about mental illness is dramatically discredited and melts into something new. What's it going to look like when that happens? I read stories from indigenous cultures and I imagine a different way. Shamans stay shamans by shamanizing, healing people with their powers, their dangerous gifts. They have to pass on the knowledge. That's what keeps them healthy. That's why I do the work that I do. It keeps me healthy. And if I want to survive, I don't have another choice. I have to figure out how to help other people who've been through what I've been through. I have to help weave with words and ideas the safety net to catch people who fly too high, because it's going to be the same net that's going to catch me when I fall. All right, you've been listening to Maps to the Other Side, The Adventures of a Bipolar Cartographer by Sasha Debrule. It is April of 2020, and shit is real out there, and I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm going to try and get some work done now. All right. Thank you for joining me.